and we got a beefy one here. It's the TOKON beta.
Oh my god, did you play the Marvel TOKON beta?
So Avatar came out and I touched it for 2 seconds, just touched Kyoshi for just wanted to see what was going on. Didn't spend much time with it because it's the TOKON beta and it's a limited time. I know that Avatar's out, so it'll be fine afterwards. Excuse me, but this weekend was the only chance to play, this beta for now, so let's get in there.
Before we move on, I've been asked like over and over if I was going to hop on the Avatar game, or if I was not going to play the Avatar game now that Mike Z is there, or now that we know. And like, I don't care about that game at all.
Okay.
From the minute that I saw it to like literally 10 minutes ago, every time I see it, I go, yeah, it looks fine, I guess.
A little too much.
Like nothing about it interests me at all.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like absolutely, it looks like a Flash game with like a level of complexity that I'm not interested in.
I've heard someone else say Flash game before, and I was like, it's them making the art style look like the show. And they do smear frames that I think look really good, really solid. Like, it's knowing what they're going for. It comes through in the win poses where you're like, oh, it just turned into the show for a couple seconds. So that's that. I don't see that at all. But
you don't. It's like sliding like 2D like.
But I know what they're again. I think they're going for the way the show looked, so I see that, and the smear frames I think look really great in how they're applied there. I like the in and out of the full screen visual animation and then into the sprites, and how the sprites again feel like you're seeing what the characters in the show looked like, and they don't look like beyond what the show looked like either. I would say like a 60 frame per second ArcSys series of Avatar characters doing shit would be like cool, but not what it looked like. So I think it's fine, and especially given whatever $30 and stuff. But I also do like the part where it feels like it's a fast paced like hyper fighter, but it's 1v1. I think that's really cool too, and and then the other thing is the defensive aspects of it make me happy, because I think defense can be as fun as offense, and I talk about that a lot with characters I enjoy, and I feel like I like the idea of a dodge button is something that I've wanted to see in things, and this committing to it kind of shows that like blocking and dodging and stuff in a really dynamic way can be fun and cool, because people don't like blocking a lot of the time when they start playing these games. But even doing things like what Virtua Fighter Crossroads is going to do, where you see dynamic blocking and avoiding of things, it feels more engaging and fun to play as something where you're like, defense is active as well, so I think that's crucial to like making a fight feel cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
When people are saying I forget what a Flash game looks like I'm specifically talking about like flat shaded sliding.
I understand.
Sprites.
No, I understand.
Like that,
vector animation. I know what you're talking about.
Like I've never liked that.
So I know what you're talking about. It looks better than those things, but there's a similarity to what you're saying. But the flat shaded way that it's animated, because I know what it's going for, I want it to look like the show, so I'm happy with it. Is I guess the difference in the end.
But at the top of the thing, it's like there's only so many fighting games I can actually learn how to play, and that is
certainly
one.
No, certainly. If so, you have to follow your heart on this.
When we talk about TOKON, part of the TOKON conversation is me going, do I stop playing 2XKO entirely because I'm very impressed by TOKON?
And I will say that like when it comes to like the your heart feel, like I feel like the heart desires. I like pressing buttons and I like the speed and the stuff that's happening in Avatar as well. It scratches a lot of itches I enjoy, so I can feel that there. Versus another game that might not have that, right? If you don't feel the call, then it's very easy to be like, yeah, sure, that's fine, and yeah, I mean, well, whatever. As far as Mike Z is concerned, like I'm like he made the Abare engine, whatever, like sure, that's there. Not much to go on there. But as far as this goes, I spent most of the weekend doing what I could with the time I had, because we were out and doing all these things. But I spent a bit of time with TOKON and then tried to really get a feel for what was going on, especially because they did a what did they do? They did a pass on everything from the complaints people were having initially, including what we were talking about, to make it feel a lot more you know, engaging and make the combos looser.
Better. That first one has sauceless.
Precisely. So I will say that after spending the weekend with it, I have broken my thoughts down very detailed into 3 categories. Right? You've spent some time with it as well.
I have, yes. Okay. I spent a fairly large amount of time with it.
Okay. So I have the things I loved. I have the things that seem weird, but will probably get better with time. And I have the things I hated.
All right. I have one big thought.
Yes.
Primarily, which is welcome back, Dragon Ball Fighters, now with Marvel characters and better netcode. That's my primary thought.
There is a lot.
This game feels like fucking DBFZ a lot.
There's a bunch of overlap in the way that characters are like kind of incomplete until you put them all together with what they do. There's a bit of a sameness to that. A couple other Dragon Ball isms as well are there, but not as many as I would expect.
Well, it's still a fundamentally different game, but it's definitely closer to that than it is to Street Fighter. So definitely to Marvel.
It's its own weird thing, though. I know what you're talking about, and there's even things that are similar to BB Tag, like the fact that like dashing with 2 buttons in 5AB independent of which direction you input is like, you know, one of those, right? There's BB Tagisms in there as well, but it's its own thing. It's definitely its own beast, and Arxis wants it to be its own thing, right? Okay, so here's what I fucking loved, right? I loved, right before I even got my hands on it, I saw Phoenix Cyclops as the first character in the DLC.
Like, oh, cool, weird pick.
That is a goated choice. That is brilliant, because that means anything is possible. It's all on the table. You could do whatever you want, right? You stretch.
I just found out like 25 minutes ago that the champion is not like the game's OC.
No.
For crossover reasons, that's actually an existing Marvel character.
Yeah, I showed you him. We talked about this. I sent you his picture. He has a big receding hairline. You saw.
Well, then I forgot, because man, that guy looks like an OC.
I'm sure if I scroll up in this chat, there's an ugly dude with a big receding hairline and a ponytail.
I'm gonna look.
It's in there. But yeah, they pulled deep, and they're willing to do so because they got fucking Phoenix Cyclops on the plate to set the tone for what else is gonna come. If you just, let's see, like I'm just gonna grab Marvel Champion, and you'll see how fucking ugly this dude used to look, dude.
Oh, I looked him up myself.
Okay, yeah. And,
yeah, it looks like goddamn shit.
And the promoter, you know, yeah, so they made him, they improved him, and they have him, whatever. There's some weird leaks that you can go that are, I saw just a second ago.
Yeah, I just saw that.
But anyway, Cyclops Phoenix is a really sick choice, because anything is possible after this. You don't necessarily have to get any expected staples. Like, yeah, they teased the Fantastic Four, and those are the reasons why it's a 4v4 format in the story. They showed you a little bit of Squirrel Girl, and I'm sure that they could just copy Rivals with their homework, because Rivals has been doing great on delivering.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's like you might get not Reed Richards, but the Maker, that's cool. You know,
yeah, why not
make it more interesting? So you got that. I'd
way rather have the Maker than Reed Richards.
Sure. I could see an interesting like onslaught over Xavier, you know what I mean, as a thing. Like, there's a couple ways to do stuff there. I could imagine. But anyways, any version of any weird character in any alternate reality, no matter how obtuse, could be possible. Beta Ray Bill instead of Thor would be fun, because he's missing right now.
Oh, I really would much rather have Beta Ray Bill than Thor, just because.
Oh yeah, and make
a weird horse guy,
and make a
weird horse guy,
and make a ton of gags about how Thor's busy. He couldn't make it, you know. Anyway, The game has so many voice callouts that are custom and and context specific.
Yeah, from a presentation perspective, it's pretty unbelievable and immaculate. Like from round starts to specific call outs when you tag in to like specific like call outs during supers.
Yeah. Anytime,
like
Steve.
I did the Spider-Man super against Wolverine, and he goes, the eternal battle of Thwip versus Snicked, and here comes another win for Thwip KO. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
Black Panther landing her level 3 on Captain America goes, come, spear versus shield, and vibranium versus vibranium. You know, it's really cool. I love that. It's awesome how many there are. I hope you survive this so you can vote for Osborn.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Lots of just flavor there, and there's so much downtime. It's just too much downtime with the walkouts and then the loading intro.
I don't know why you need the big walkout to start.
For the two team names that they're just kind of randomly generated and not that great. But the amount of flavor text does make it a lot more interesting. I just wish it was snappier with it, like the MK games or the Injustice games.
Because you have a fucking secondary walkout in the match where they have their back and forth. You don't need the first walkout. It's it feels like just that bird flying over the fucking shit in Guilty Gear.
Norman being like, I call this the Gwen Stacy special, is fucking brutal. And yes, the team names are not random. They're based on the first and the teams that you pick. But I saw the geniuses, and I was like, this is not well thought out, you know? Anyway, so that was very cool.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's
actually
super goofy.
I like that.
Super goofy. The improvements they made to the assist system are huge, in the sense that before, when you're in the middle of a combo, you could only call in an assist to do a single hit and extend the combo and knock them rolling. But now you can do any of the directional assists at any time. So you get a solid 4 options, which is great compared to what you used to have. That opens things up a good bit, and I'm happy they did that.
I am a huge fan of this game's on-ramp. So like, as little baby Pat who just didn't know how to play it at all, here's your auto combo.
Okay.
Here's your second auto combo. Here's your third auto combo. Okay. Then to auto combo into basic assist, and then it's auto combo to basic assist, auto combo to basic assist, auto combo to basic assist super, which is fine. And then specific assist, and then non-auto combo into basic assist, and so on and so forth, in terms of like escalating complexity.
Well, fair enough. That's not on my loved list, so I'll get to that in a sec.
Really?
Yeah, but with the stuff that was good, the overall, just the character interpretations of these characters are very stylistic. I liked some of the stuff they're doing with the non-repro blue line art. You know.
The audio-visual presentation, top to bottom, every single thing.
The artboards are great. The main theme, and that when you do Blade Super and the beat drops in the club, you know, I'm a samurai asshole. That's very cool. Blade and Magic they have interesting kits with his stakes and her teleports.
I think they're great.
Yeah.
I spent a lot more time with Magic than I did with Blade.
I did more Blade. And then the menus and the quick settings are all very solid stuff as well. So those are the things that were all really, really cool about it. The list of things that seem weird, but will probably be better with time, I guess, as you get used to it. So run-up throws were really weird to me. When you want to do a throw, you auto run and then close the distance and do it. And it's not... it's just an odd thing that you're committing this distance to it, but I guess my thought is they wanted to make this work for people who are not used to doing throws, that were like, how do I get that close to the opponent? I'm always spaced out. They're hitting me with their sword. So the thought is, someone who just isn't used to using throws in games, at least this closes the distance for you, right?
Yeah.
I don't like it, but it is a thing.
I didn't have any problem with it.
Okay. And
it was actually fairly useful if I was outside of like what you would do in normal throw distance, and I was like, I could probably get him, and I could.
I like the ability to do that myself, so that if I'm going to approach you and then do a throw, I could hypothetically dash up, do a fake, jump, make you bait something out, and then come down on top of you or something else, but there's another aspect of that you can hypothetically do that manually, but there's another aspect that kind of gets in the way, which is like your movement speed. The other thing that was like, we'll have to see how this works out over time, but the alpha counter system when you're on defense, where you kind of like, you don't have a lot of defensive options in this game, but you do.
No, you don't. Damage is high, rounds are short, but it's 3 out of 5.
But what you do have is this counter system that, like, it's free, doesn't cost you anything. One of your partners jumps in and saves you from blocking and knocks the opponent away. However, if that gets countered, it fails and you get knocked down. Or if they perfectly time it, they lock out your entire team, you disassemble, and it is a humongous disadvantage. So the perfect timed counter is very bad, and the alpha counter timing it's like 27 frames, I think they said. It's pretty slow. You can get used to it probably with time. Right now it's in that range of being kind of like Drive Impact in Street Fighter 6. So sure. You're like in the middle of the fight, if your brain is like overwhelmed, you sneak them in, but like I'm sure see people and ourselves would get used to that with time. And then the other thing that is currently annoying, but will probably be fine once you get used to it, is the constant swapping of the assist position where you.
Oh, I have a really good solution to that.
Don't ever tag.
Which is my favorite thing about the game.
Don't tag to anyone else.
Is never tag to another character.
So you can definitely stick to your character.
That is my favorite thing about the game, is that it is 100% viable to just never tag out.
Turns out there's some bad things that happen when you don't tag out, including
like what?
When you're putting pressure on, you don't get to continue the same level of pressure or mix up on your opponent if you don't tag out, because you call an assist in and then they'll come in to kind of cover whatever unsafe option you did. But
sure.
But like the time it takes for you to get back in to to continue is more staggered. There's more gaps in, and it's not as, you can't do things like necessarily get a cross up going, versus if you tag, they give you a little between the flash of green and then the soul traveling to the other character. You have a brief moment to puppet an input and then jump over and try to get something going. So
yeah, that's why I said viable, not optimal.
Yeah. So there's basically, the game will reward you in a couple different ways if you do tag. And I'm going to get into this a little bit later as well, but like opening people up without tagging feels almost impossible sometimes. It feels like a really tricky thing to do. And that's the stuff that was like weird, but we'll see how this improves over time, right?
Well, so like one of the things is, like, when I say that I love that I feel like it's viable to just not tag, what I mean is for example in 2XKO, if I was like, I want to learn how to play character X, and I just want to play them, just them, up until like literally today, I think that experience would be get ready to not learn how to play them because you'll lose, because playing one character is a death sentence. In TOKON, like, is it optimal to not use absolutely every single part of the kit? Yeah, of course. But like, I'm still playing a character with all their moves and all their assists using a shared health bar.
Yes, 100%. And that, that is clear. Nothing is stopping you from just maining your one character, and that's what most people did, because it's easier to learn a game that way. It just makes more sense. I'm just basically saying that, like, what was starting to be discovered, it seems, towards the end, is that like, like the game will give you these rewards if you choose to use tagging, but if you don't, you can still play the whole match just fine. And yes, with the stuff I was playing when I did stream, and I did go back and play a bit more after, and then I did another session after that as well. So like, there's a lot I learned in the time frame between when I was first touching it and when we streamed, and then when we played after, and about the characters, their full kits, and the pressure and so on. For the stuff I disliked, there's a long list. And
Really?
yes, and
I was like thoroughly like overjoyed with my time.
okay, I was having, when it was at its best, there was cool stuff that I was like, this is awesome. When it was at its worst, I was like, I might start my hater arc, because I'm getting really like, some stuff was getting pretty frustrating. And there's stuff on the there's stuff in the nitty gritty of it, and then there's stuff on the just overall.
Well, let's start broader and go more specific.
100%, right? So PSN being down is like one of those things where it's like, okay, the whole thing just apparently, like, the whatever the timing was of that, whether it was server load or anything like that kind of sucked for some people, for sure. For timing.
I gotta say, was there something really strange about people going like, oh, I can't wait for the all digital future? And I'm like, PSN being down would also, even if you had a retail copy of TOKON, wouldn't stop you. Well, it wouldn't allow you to play online on PSN for like, what a strange mentality.
Obviously the PC issues were numerous, and people were talking all weekend about like the performance that they were having.
This is the first time I've ever done this and had not even one issue at all.
Okay.
It ran flawlessly for me.
I the first thing I did was actually, I started it up. I downloaded it on the Steam machine, and then it just wouldn't boot because easy anti-cheat doesn't work.
Oh no, it won't. Any kernel-based anti-cheat won't allow it.
But so easy anti-cheat does have a Linux version that you can do if the developer wants to turn it on. But in this case, they said no, so the game just doesn't fucking boot on the Steam machine at all, right? So that's one. That sucks. The PC version, people were like, when I installed it, I didn't. It was just a quick test, or so, and then it ended up being more or less fine. I saw some like frame kind of skipping initially, but like I did see people kind of going like, yeah, drop it down to a lower requirement, drop the settings down and bake your shaders and all that stuff. So I kind of just like, after we were done trying out that PC version, I went back to playing it on PS5. So
sure.
So I'm like, whatever, I'll just play it there and not have to deal with any of this. Side note, if you're uninstalling it on your PC, note that there's 2 gigs or so of like app data and program data that stay installed in your Sony folder, so you want to make sure you go and clear those out too, just in case you didn't, because it leaves behind some fucking trash or whatever. Okay, what felt really annoying to me overall is that the fact that between last time and now, while they made a lot of improvements, it still feels sticky. It feels like muddy at times, where movement feels like stilted. There are times where things just kind of slow down when I want them to go a bit faster, or things where the game will start and stop a lot. Dashes, runs have a little bit of a, like, almost like Makoto's movement speed, and then there's these like accelerations, and then it stops again. Hit stop is long. Wall breaks are longer. There's a lot of pauses that just feel like, I kind of just was getting that feeling, and I really wish it was more fluid about that stuff. When it comes to, I mean, wall breaks and such is a whole other specific thing.
I noticed there's like just a huge contingent of people who just hate wall breaks, period.
Yes.
And a subgroup of those people who hate walls.
So the weird part about this is I like walls being in play, but wall breaks being a constant. Like, the thing was, in Strive, the idea of the wall as a choice to give you freedom in exchange for an advantage versus Street Fighter 6's like brutal wall play. I like that there's 2 choices out there that exist, right? But like, it's not a required constant in Strive as much, but it does happen. Whereas TOKON is designed around these wall breaks, and it doesn't feel great that the only stage I want to play on is the X Mansion with the Xavier,
really?
Because the stage and the amount of times where I was doing combos and they were cut short because of the wall breaks, where I'm like, I didn't want to fucking end there. was like, oh, you know.
Then why'd you do the button that does the wall break?
Well, so then you can do the OD version to spend the meter to bring it down and get the fuller thing. But sometimes you're not close enough to the wall that there's an area where you're not right on the wall, but if you still do the light version, it'll still
it's like
cause
one character length,
right? So you have to kind of feel out that distance. But like in general, I'm like, I didn't want a wall break there, and I had to. That was something that felt like frustrating. Mm-hmm.
So I'm already like gauging the kind of feel from this discussion, and I'm gonna be on one side of this, and I can feel that from what I'm about to say, which is I like wall breaks because it's really cool when you knock the character through a bunch of cars into a different looking stage.
Yes, I think that is.
I like that when you play a stage, you're actually playing on 5 stages.
Right, and so I like that idea on paper, but I think what happens after many hours of playing the game is a lot of these kind of aesthetics sort of just become like a pause that you don't really appreciate as much over time. I think like stuff like that can be cool but made short and sweet so that it's not as it doesn't feel like as much of a hiccup while still being dynamic, right?
Oh, I also like the pause.
Okay.
I like to have a mental neutral break after a little encounter.
So
like when I get a long super that isn't going to kill in a game, it allows me to go like
right. Okay.
Apologies.
And I think slowing down the fight is a goal of what some of the other things they do design wise.
I play grapplers.
Yeah. So let me just and here's the thing, right? Like while I'm going down this, I'll fast forward to the end and say that my conclusion here is the things they're doing are not necessarily for people like me that like the things I like, and that's okay. So I don't want anyone to get defensive and mad about the fact that I'm pointing these things out that I had friction with, because at the end of the day, it's okay that it's not for me in these ways. They're allowed to try different things, and they're allowed to try out different styles of fighting game and different feelings of what should be new versus if you have OG mentality on these things. I'm totally okay with that. It's just a difference between what causes a moment of hype versus what causes a moment of frustration, and when I feel like I'm fighting against the systems versus when they feel harmonious with my desires, you know?
So I think you're so there's an FF14 example that I have for this, which is FF14 has spent a couple of years hardcore raiders, which represent 5 to 20% of the population, depending, it varies, right? Of like, we want more raids, harder raids, better rewards, ultimate raids like UMAD and stuff like that. And as a result, like what I believe to be a disproportionate amount of the game's energy has been added for content that is for the top 10% of players only, and let the people in that medium 50% kind of fall off and drown. And when you're describing like these little hiccups in the tone and the hiccups in the match and the neutral and these the movement being such a way, I feel like they're just straight up not making it for you.
Correct.
They're making it for a person who goes, oh yeah, Iron Man kicked him through the car.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's basically like an Injustice or even an Evil Zone that was made by like competent developers for like a normal person.
And it's totally okay to have different goals and audiences in your approach, because ArcSys, this is the ArcSys that also like, it's not the same team, but just thinking about how they toned down Strive and like really pulled back on the whole game, it feels like they're taking an approach here, which is just like, okay, we don't want to do Marvel, we don't want to do other things that, we want to take some stuff from previous tag games, but they want to do their own thing, which is a little bit slower, a little bit safer, has more pauses, and creates and is less about like fast and fluid and is more about like system governance, the system kind of being recognizable and I guess easy to pick up. And what I always think is awesome is when you have something that is easy to pick up and allows a lot of these systems to be in place, but then also allows you to go beyond it, right? So auto combos being in there, auto combos have their absolute place, you know, in games these days. I like that in Street Fighter 6 you have modern mode as a choice to pick to go with that. I like that in 2XKO you can choose pulse, whereas here it's just baked into what you're doing. And in Persona and in Dragon Ball, kind of got used to things overall with how the auto combos like served a utility. But here, because of the restrictions of the way the combo system works, and now we're getting into the weeds a little bit, it didn't feel as welcome because it ends up like kind of, you know, stopping things a lot more aggressively. But then you have freedom to do other combos that don't involve auto combos, right? So this is all to say that you still have the choices, right? But something about but that's getting a little more into the offense side. On defense, I was talking about how you don't have a lot of options, and you know, so it does feel pretty lopsided in the sense that, okay, you can do that alpha counter, right? That can get locked out. I didn't really see any real dragon punches as far as I'm aware. It felt like the DPs were partial invulnerability in the middle of it, but like not right at the start. I could be wrong about that. But you definitely couldn't do things like, you know, like they designed it to be like no push blocking, no retreating guard, no burst, etc. Which that's okay, you know. I like having those options. I like having more than the one option, but like mostly they have you like you either just got to block or do that one counter. So overall, it felt, you know, not as engaging as it could be when you're on defense. And but weirdly on offense, some of the things that I was struggling with was I talked about how I felt it was a little bit hard to open up people doing those pressure strings, and then similarly when you cross up opponents, it's felt like this cross ups also felt a little bit tricky to land. And I believe what part of the reason why is because there's someone said that there's 7 frames of cross up protection. So basically, if you block in one direction, you're automatically going to block the opposite way within.
I did not have any trouble crossing anybody else.
So there's,
I don't know if that.
If you wait, you put a little gap in between it, it'll be okay. But like, there's buttons that are 7-frame buttons. So essentially, if you do a really, really tight, like schmixy kind of thing, it stops it from happening. You know, if you kind of like create a gap and then try to hit them in between it, you have to wait a little bit longer before it does an auto block for them, right? There's and so that was a little bit of something that was like, okay, maybe some more time will kind of show like what the openings will be, because I did see that like doing something like getting pressure and then tagging into, let's say, Ghost Rider or Miss Marvel, who do have a lunging overhead or low, is a way that you can get a high-low mix going, but not everybody has that kind of tool right away. So it's sort of, they don't want you to go crazy on the mix when the person's blocking in a way.
I think that like Avatar and this coming out so close to each other is absolutely fascinating.
Isn't it crazy?
Because they like, I like one a lot and won't even touch the other, and it's part of this thing of like, I think too many fighting games are built by fighting game fans who are degenerate freaks for degenerate freaks. I think 2XKO actually definitely had that problem right at the beginning, where they had like a bunch of pro Marvel players create a bunch of pro Marvel characters in a free-to-play game. There
is room at the table for everybody to come eat, so we should offer different kinds of meals. Like I said, I always prefer when game design makes it so that the things you're describing are not zero sum with the things I'm describing. I like when what you're looking for is an offering that is compatible with what I'm looking for too. So
like, as a really specific example, I think Marlon Pie does incredible work creating characters, and that he's a genius.
But you're not going to do that shit.
I think he's holding a gun to new players.
Right.
The shit he built is insane.
Yeah, and I know when looking at a character like that, I'm like, that's not for me. I can feel that right away. I know that for sure. I like it when these things don't have to be mutually exclusive. That's kind of what it comes down to, right? Something that kept happening for me is when people wake up off the ground, the amount of time that they're invulnerable felt so long, and I kept like missing the throw or missing the meaty button, and they just wanted more invincibility, right? So they added some, and it's out of step with like every other fighter in terms of the amount of invincibility you're getting waking up. I mean, maybe with some exceptions that I'm not thinking of, I don't know, Smash or something, but the wake up feels really, really weirdly timed. And again, that can be deliberate. It can be to give you more breathing room, but it was a friction point that made me frustrated how often I tried to continue the pressure and then I couldn't, because it was just like, no, they're still invincible right now, you know? I felt a lot of frustration with how trying to do a Dragon Punch input didn't work a ton of the time.
Oh, I never did a single motion input at all.
You did the shortcut buttons?
I don't know why people asked for those when the non-motion inputs can still do every single move on the roster.
Because there is still a damage difference between them.
There's a damage difference?
Correct. It's negligible, but you do less damage for doing the auto combo version of stuff, or for doing the shortcut input of stuff.
But like that was the case even before they added them in.
It's
like the first version didn't have the shortcuts at all.
No, shortcuts were there in the first version. Yeah.
Oh, there were. Oh, okay.
It was an extra button that was there, so it's a tiny damage difference, but it's there, and you could do them. And in fact, to make some combos work and be a little more practical, you kind of have to. But I wouldn't like. Okay, what I'm describing would not be an issue. I love when you have the choice. I love when you can do the shortcut or not. And I would have no issue here if the DP input worked, but it doesn't. It's a weird thing where it's the weirdest, strictest I've ever noticed, where you can't do the normal kind of what a lot of sort of Dragon Punch muscle memory turns out to be. In a lot of cases, you'll do like forward fireball, right? Forward quarter circle forward in a lot of cases will just be like a working Dragon Punch, and that's worked forever. But it doesn't work here, and that's like, oh god, you know. And so you have to stop at the diagonal and hold it at 3 on the number chart for it to work. If you don't end at 3, the move's not coming out. And that fucks with me so much, you know. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, I'm just doing the auto input, because it just doesn't do the buffer that every other game does, right? And then down as an input had some of the same issue, where sometimes comboing into down it felt like it had a different input reader or different input buffer from the other inputs in the game. And I was like, what? So you can't do 6-2-3-6. That's the thing that says work. It's go back to third strike, go back to every game, but in this it just won't work. You know, you got to hold that down forward. And I'm like, oh man, because some combos really, you need to do those moves, but fuck, you know. So yeah, that was a part of it. You know, I was talking about the Oki timing, wake up vulnerability. That's one of those things. The auto combo damage, like I said, it's less if you do it, but it's still high enough that it's almost like, well, why not just go for it, right? Like I ended a ton of matches with the auto combo. So it's like the damage is high enough that you might as well go for it. And again, that's a design choice where they're like, yeah, you can flex and get a little bit of extra if you want to, but it's not a humongous amount. So they kind of are basically going like, yeah, we want to push you to use this, you know. And I think that like I know that this is just going to be a matter of like more experimenting with the system, but there's definitely points where this is Dragon Ball like as well. You want to like extend a combo in a certain way, but like the best thing you can do to stabilize the person's height is do the auto combo, because it actually drops them into place and locks them in position.
Yeah.
You know, whereas your normal buttons don't kind of do that. So you're gonna have to figure out with time how to, you know, properly just be nice with those inputs.
So this is what I meant by like, it feels like there's an on ramp where like there is, I was doing crazy suboptimal shit. I was doing like auto combo into tag into auto combo into tag and shit like that. And it was working fairly well with me, along with like general assist play. Right. But there's like an on-ramp from that to, using specific assists and combos to non-auto combo, but then you'd use the auto combo to lock them into place in like that nice way to get the super. Instead of like when I started to learn 2xKO, there was really like basic baby shit, don't do anything that matters, and watch YouTube videos and TikToks of combos and then learn the combo and then go play real matches. Like it was like this big fucking gap.
And I will say that, like, as someone that enjoys labbing, like, that's on me to be like, yeah, I want to go in there and spend some time and figure out the intricacies and this is that. But if you're definitely like not necessarily looking for that experience, then this is conducive to that, right? This is a clear thing that makes that work if you're not looking to do a bunch of that. But I get it. The thing that really haunted me throughout this is
you're haunted.
So I was trying to not do auto combos where I could, to like get better combos when I was trying to learn them, right?
Sure.
Where, and in some cases I'm like, I'm fine to end with it here, I'm fine to end with it there. It's not a big deal at all. I'm just knowing that, like, I'm like, when I want to do or play a little bit better, I'm gonna try to get the realer version of this. But in the meantime, this is more than acceptable, right? Especially by the end. When you do special moves, there's a period of time where before it, you can call an assist, but then you cannot call an assist for a certain period of time. And then after a certain point of time in the move, you can call the assist again. And there are these...
Yeah, I noticed that.
And there are these moments where assists are just not allowed to come out. And it drives me fucking crazy.
Why?
Because it's just an invisible restrictor. And I'm like, so the only way to get...
They want you to be calling assists during your normals.
So what happens is, the end result is you have to end up mashing assist to get them at the fastest possible time. But the fact that you cannot get them at certain times in what feels sometimes arbitrary, like you don't quite know why yet, or at least during what duration point of the move, I just kind of go like, oh, that's not a good feeling. I don't want to have to like be relying on it's not working, there they are. That was a very sticking pain point for me. And that's something that I know they're doing their own thing. Other games do assists in their own way, but no one else has done this. No one else has done this where it's like, you just can't use them here, and now you can again.
I feel like the mentality behind that is that when you're doing normals, they want you to do a special move, whether or not that special move is yours or the assists.
Yeah, but
they don't want overlapping special moves.
It's not what they want you to do so much as it's what they're taking away from you, right? Because putting it in there, like, I can see that, but like what they're taking away from you is trying to set up something interesting with your timing, something you can explore with your... Now that you gave me 4 different things to do, during a combo, I'm happy I have more choices. But the fact that there's moments where I'm calling them and they're not coming out is just that's the raw feel, And I'm sure that they have a design logic for why they don't want it to overwhelm the player or what they want to simplify. But the end result is there's moments where I press the assist button and it does nothing, and that feels bad. It's just
Yeah, you and me are on genuine like opposite sides on this, and part of that is that you are much better than I am at tag games. I wanted to love Marvel so much, but all of the things that you're describing as downsides that were not present in Marvel made me fucking hate playing Marvel. I found doing combos in Marvel miserable. I hated the super fast timing of everything. I felt like I would go in and I would just get lightning sniped out from like a fucking anti-air like assist. That like I never at any point learned to see what was happening in Marvel, despite like many hours at it. Like 2xKO is like slower,
but it's still really crowded. Yeah, it's still really crowded and nuts at times, though. Like there are moments of chaos.
TOKON, it's like, oh, this feels like a more comfortable pace.
So what
for my grappler brain, I guess.
So what you're describing with like the spending time and playing a bit more of it is like that makes sense. But again, there's differences between slowing something down and just stopping you from doing it entirely. And
I have a really good example of that.
I have a thought, right? Like there are moments when you call assists out and then it'll be like unavailable. Okay, now they're back, right? That's kind of the standard in these games. If you're playing, when you get used to and when you play a bit more of like, you know, let's say Marvel versus Capcom or any of these tag fighters, you come to see assists almost as like really, it's almost like a really good button, right? And when they first made Marvel versus Capcom 2, they went from the 6-button layout to like light, medium, light, heavy, assist 1, assist 2, and it was like your heavy button was just someone, Captain Commando, jumping in and going bah, right? Yeah. So you have a button that's a part of your kit in neutral play, and that's how you're thinking about it when you get used to the games. And so it feels like here there are times where your heavy punch doesn't work, or there are times where your heavy kick is unavailable, and it feels like you're cutting a limb off or taking a button away temporarily. And that's a point you're always going to go every time it happens, you know.
No, it's funny that you mentioned that, because with the Juggernaut buffs they've given to 2XKO, I am probably never going to play that game in tag form ever again. I gladly cut that hand off.
Right.
I played Juggernaut so like exclusively for months when that game came out, until it became obviously so suboptimal I couldn't make it work. But like, I like maybe this is guy going to like a Mexican restaurant and ordering sushi, and then you're like, why did you even go to the Mexican restaurant? It's like, no, I want to play Marvel superheroes. I don't want to play Marvel vs. Capcom, and I don't want to really play a tag game. I play the tag games that exist because they're really cool and have cool stuff in it. But like, I don't fucking like it. Like,
and for me, I'm just like, hey, look, I'm not being a hater for no reason. I can articulate in very precise detail exactly what these tension points are that I'm having, but also respect that they're going for a different style, a different audience, a different thing, you know? But I just, for people who are looking for or used to what I'm feeling, they're recognizing this, and I've kind of seen some people echoing that sentiment. You're right. There's a sentiment I kind of saw echoed was that it feels like you're fighting against the battle system, and the characters themselves are interesting and fine, but the system itself is a governor that's like holding you back, and like as a result, it feels like, you know, you can work and get those creative cool things going, but it's just not being encouraged effectively. And like I get that, because it's like those little moments of like, yeah, I know this, like Magic with her teleports, you can set up some really cool shit, and like there's all kinds of little things I'm like, ooh, I'm like, my brain wants to like lab in my head to like think about like what you can do there. But I just when
I think that's the difference between you and me, is that any fighting game I have ever played, there is no point in the entire time I'm playing where I'm like, ooh, what can I do here? It's, I'm gonna go to the book and find out what I should be doing.
Right. Okay.
And then, so every single part of the process that's in between me starting to play and being good is homework only. Right. And I don't want to do it. If I can get away with not doing it, I don't want to.
So what I imagine that you popped in Sonic 4 for the first time, and Sonic 4 looked and sounded like a dream. It was the coolest looking Sonic ever, and it was the best sounding ever, and then you hit that jump button. And that
is what happened.
And you go, oh. Right? And you want it to not feel that way because everything else is working, but you did, because Sonic 4 looked fine. It wasn't like an animation miracle masterpiece, right? But I'm using this to say that, like, you know, that little kind of moment of just like, okay, like I that little throughout the rounds as I'm going like
so you know? I not only do I completely agree with you and understand exactly what you mean, the example doesn't even need to go past TOKON. That's how I felt with the first TOKON beta. Where I didn't even get out of the goddamn tutorial, where I was like, something about this game just feels off, and like everything about it felt off, and I didn't have the language or the specificity, but this has been a significant improvement from that.
It has, but we talked about the specificity of why it felt that way, right? Like we got into like the parts of it that felt clunky and just not like open enough, right? It felt like it was railroading you aggressively, and then through enough feedback they went, okay, we'll pull the chains back a little bit, we'll stop restricting you, we'll open it up, but we still don't want to open it up too much. There's a clear design incentive that they want to be like, you know, they want to keep the keep you down a bit on it. And basically what ends up happening is, yeah, like I end up feeling it throughout most of the match, and a lot of the movement and pacing and a lot of these things, and they kind of add up to an experience that's like, I'm gonna check in. I give every fighting game a more than honest shot because I fucking love them, and I'm always gonna learn how to play a team. I'm always gonna make sure I'm ready to play, to mess around, press buttons, fucking enter a bracket, do whatever. So, you know, and I want to know what the fuck is coming alongside those characters. So like, yeah, it's fucking Phoenix Cyclops and whatever else is coming. I want to know. I'm gonna keep my eyes on this game, and I'm looking out for it. But knowing that it's doing its own new thing and that not everything needs to be for me or designed for OG players, I just like I'm just gonna say, hey, it's pulling away from the thing that makes me love these games a little bit, and as a result, I'm going to not be driven to boot it up as often and stay in there, you know?
So my gut on this is like, wow, this is a really great fighting game that I can play casually, which is no other fighting game. It can be played casually. Like I learned my Thresh and Teemo combos, and I'm gonna have those until they change them. And if they change them too significantly, I might drop those characters because I'm not gonna sit down to learn them again.
Yeah.
Right.
Part of the discussion I was having with Keats ended with like, okay, so Dragon Ball on the way out the door does the Kusoge patch and makes itself go nuts. My happy medium is I'm down for a game to shake it up and go crazy as long as I don't have to relearn my combos. Fuck you. You know, 100%. I'm right there with you.
And one of the things that I actually like about TOKON a lot is that it constantly breaks you back into neutral. Like, yeah, you can optimize your basic stuff like more and more.
Yeah.
I really like being reset to neutral a lot.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. My favorite part of the game is getting in on neutral and getting the opening, and the combo is just cash out.
They want.
Again, I play grapplers.
Yeah. No.
I don't care about this combo shit.
Yeah, they want to return you to neutral. Many times they want you to have to touch and have many interactions. And so those are the times where I'm like when you're designing for constantly returning to neutral and getting many interactions, then that's where I'm like, well, that's where I want the freedom to really express and go nuts with things in neutral. You know, like call my assist out while I'm approaching you, and I fuck, you know? So that it's both at the same time, returning to neutral, but then in neutral, I can't do what I'm looking for. So that I'm like,
now I keep saying this stuff and people keep saying, oh, like Avatar. I'm like, I've seen the fucking Avatar gameplay and the combos on. I don't want to do those. But I just straight want to do them.
And this is what's crazy too, is like the fact that this is happening simultaneously to that drop, Avatar drops, 2XKO does its big RE patch. Yasmin's about to come into Street Fighter 6, and we're all waiting on Red Drive Rush. You know, whatever the fuck happens there, I don't know, because it's interesting because Street Fighter 6 is in a place where the game is fine, but it's just people are kind of bored with the fact that it's just fine. They want something to shake it up, you know, which is a whole other discussion, mind you. But I get to feel this thing with Tokon's beta, and then Avatar like is doing a bunch of shit that's like the complete opposite philosophically of what I'm describing.
They're polar opposites. They're strong in the aspect that the other one is weak, and weak in the other, and strong and like.
And I mean, and this is just to my veins, man. The fucking the way everything about like how free and flowing that goes, and how much defense and offense are like this fucking dance with each other. I just like, I feel so engaged by that. So I'm like, there's a pull Where if Avatar didn't exist, and if like 2XK didn't exist, and Tokon's what it is, then I'm like, yeah, I'm in there. You know, I have these points of it, but I'm still in there. But it just so happens to be dropping while philosophical complete opposites are also dropping. So I kind of know, you know, where the
like at the end
goes.
of the day, like for all new fighting games, like I basically just want to play Street Fighter and Virtua Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play like highly grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentally simple games,
and like I said, on the very just like aesthetic basic like cool factor level, I find that Virtua Fighter and Avatar have that similar thing where, like I said, blocking feels cool, you know, dodging and defense and Steve Foxing things feels cool.
Don't compare this fucking baby tie-in game to Virtua Fighter.
What are you talking about? They both have awesome defense and dodging. That's real. And in fact, I find blocking to be something that like it's something that new players hate doing, understandably, because it's a boring thing that should be made more interesting. And like Virtua Fighter is finally doing something to make it cool, and as is Avatar. That's real.
Virtua Fighter has always been cool.
Yes, but it's making it even cooler. It's great. It's a super cool thing because defense is half of the game, but there's a half of the game that people actively they didn't pay $60 to block or $30 to block, you know? When you are fucking dodging shit and you get to you want to feel like Sakuga. You want to feel like that, again, that Rock Lee versus Gaara moment. You want to feel like the Dragon Ball battle. You want to feel like the cool fight in the thing. And when you're doing it yourself, it's awesome. You're so engaged and locked in, right? I remember that moment. We were playing I was playing KOF with I believe it was you and some of our older friends, and like in the middle of fighting, I was using Vanessa, and our friend was playing Joe Higashi. And I did Vanessa's duck in. I did a bunch of stuff on block, and then I blocked, and then they did Joe Higashi strings, and then he did a lunge kick at the exact same time that I did Vanessa's backwards dodge, and we both traveled from one side of the screen to the other, matching each other's rhythm, and it was fucking heaven. It was so cool to have a moment of like dodge, you know. So like a game that like works around that and brings that into the forefront is something that like we should have done a long time ago, you know, and we're finally starting to see games do that shit. It's super hype.
What does that have to do with Avatar?
When you flow, when you flow with Avatar and people are attacking you, your character dodges and goes low and flips around and avoids the attacks, and
then you're not doing it, you're just hitting a button.
But you are, because there's the neutral dodge, but then you could do lows or highs to then aim it and counter the person in a particular way. You are flowing around them. It's a part of the defense of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very cool. And if you get grabbed during that, then you get fucking blown up.
You die.
Yeah. So that's what it is, you know. But this is interesting though, because I'm like walking away from this with like two completely separate things, with two completely separate goals in mind. At the end of the day, I want a bigger table with more food on it. That is what I want, you know. So that long-winded, very in-depth technical bit is my takeaway. But man, Blade is fucking cool, and I'm glad he exists again.
Just to head this off of the pass, a lot of people just keep asking what my hate point for Avatar is that I don't dislike that game at all. I just don't understand why people keep building it up, because it doesn't seem cool to me at all. Like, that's it. It's not like, oh, I hate this fucking game. It's just like, okay, like, sure.
Just with specific examples, do you think it's cool that like when Ozai burns Zuko, he's the only one that takes chi damage because he burns them in the same way?
all that little like canon specific like interactable stuff is super cool.
There's a clip,
very interesting.
There's a clip of Azula charging up a lightning bolt, and then right before it, Sokka does his super where he gets a kiss. And then he does the worm under the lightning bolt, dodges it, and then throws his boomerang to kill her.
Similarly, I think that Azula having like 2 character stances by default is like super cool.
That's on losing state.
And I said that, and somebody put hands on it, and it's like, I don't have to. It doesn't look fun to play.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
You don't have to commit to anything you don't enjoy.
This is one of those things that makes me absolutely nuts.
No. That's no.
Hey, here, try this food. I don't really feel like it. It looks unappealing.
Yeah.
And then people get like really
No. Like
aggro.
Anybody who's listening to this, if you're asking Pat to do what I just did and make a fucking 30-point dissertation on what he doesn't like about it, fuck off. That's not necessary.
No, my dissertations are usually it didn't look good, or it didn't feel good, or.
And guess what? That represents everybody. That what you just said is what most people are going to feel when they don't like something, not what I just did.
There was an interesting discussion where somebody in the chat was like, I'm passing on Avatar because of Mike Z. And somebody responded with, what, you're just going to throw away all the hard work everybody else did on the game? And it's like, you don't owe anyone shit.
Nobody owes anyone anything.
That's like, hey, I found out something bad about the game. You have to buy it now. It's your responsibility. What? No, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing because of nothing.
No, you look at it and you feel a certain way about it, and then this is why what you're describing is exactly why when I talk about like when someone goes, hey, I like the idea of fighting games, but I don't know where to start, right? And often I'll be like, what do you think looks cool, right? Because that person could be saying that where they think that Tekken is the coolest shit ever because they just saw, Leroy, or they could be looking at it because they just saw Ruby do some crazy shit. And they're like, oh, I love Ruby. That's dope as fuck, right? We just last week talked about the Tifa walking into
there was
Street Fighter 6 with Ludwig promoting it. So all this to say, just to finish the thought, is go follow what you think looks cool, right? If you think that looks cool, that's the best starting point. And similarly, if you don't feel a thing that's drawing you towards something, then you don't have to. But you don't owe anybody anything.
There was a time in my life where I thought Tekken was the absolute coolest shit, and that was like the 3 weeks after Tekken 5 came out. Because that was a good game.
And then after that,
I think I just slipped back to Third Strike. I think is what happened.
Yeah. I mean, that's a cozy one to slip back to, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's more or less the deal. Obviously, we can yap, and we did, and this is a big one. And we'll see what comes from the feedback this time around, but of course
I'm really interested to see if like anything changes between now and the full release.
I was about to say
because it's pretty soon.
I was about to say it's too soon. So I think what'll happen is not anything on the full release, but maybe the first patch after that, but maybe not, right? Maybe they because they showed early on that they're like, we have a vision and we want to follow this, and then people went, no, we're not fucking with your vision, and they went, okay, hold on, and then they adjusted it a bit. But now maybe they draw the line here, or maybe they continue to move it, right? I know though that like it's hard to say, but I feel like, community wise, there's a circle of like there's a Venn diagram of like, people that love it and people that don't, and then in the middle, or almost like Avatar Desire players and then TOKON players, and then in the middle are some people that are just like, fuck it, play both, it's fun, it's fine, go with what you got. But I think when you kind of talk about, there's these lots of articles and discussions about like people that play with their heart or their brain and what drives you to play these games, why you come to play them at all. And I think when those motivations get like pared down to their core qualities, like you can really, really design things that attract or repulse.
Yeah. So like for me personally, I play fighting games because I want to see a cool thing happen and also win.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I want.
Yeah. I mean, I think I want those things too, but how we go about those things is very different. I want to see a cool thing happen and I want to win for sure.
Like you know that old
Yeah. That's it's the how we get there that changes.
Why can't I remember his name? We had him on the show. Does incredible fighting game
Gerald
analysis.
Correct.
Gerald, yeah. Gerald at Corey Gaming described the game that had the win button.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, every game that I play that's a fighter, I fucking push a character as far close to playing the win button game as I can. Where most games I play the guy who, if I hit the win button 4 times, I win.
So there's a question that I asked when I was watching that Keats video, and we brought it back, and it was because it was a fun one, but talking about balance and all that, what is the most bored you've ever been while winning in a game?
That's a great question.
Right? Think about that, because that says a lot about that game's design.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most you've ever been disengaged while you are winning the game?
For me, it would probably be in when you're in a set and you're winning against an opponent that absolutely can't do anything to you for like a long length of time.
Is there a particular game that you think of where it pushes that to the most extreme?
No, it's all games. The game or opponent can't push back on me at all.
Okay.
Right? I want to win, and I want to win like not like at the skin of my teeth every single time, though that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like I want something to push back on me. I don't want it to just be a complete like dog and pony show.
And I don't want it to rubber band back to at the last second to be like, no, it was actually a close fight, you idiot.
So like a really good example that I can think of is racing games.
Yep, rubber banding.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
There are a bunch of racing games that either had really crazy rubber banding or you got out in front and boy, you got further and further ahead, and it was the most like there are a bunch of Need for Speed games where you would play it back on the PlayStation 1, and if you got far enough ahead, you were just playing a fucking time trial at that point. You weren't even playing a race. Mm-hmm. Right? Miserable. Because right? Mm-hmm.
Because the reality is that like the closer you get to a win button, there are circumstances where you might look at it and go, I don't even feel like pressing that. You know, in the right situation with the right type of character, you know, on the wrong day, you're almost just like, well, fuck this. You know, this isn't.
That's why I play an MMO, because you get rewards for playing.
Yeah, you know there's an example.
It has a reward structure that enables you to enjoy boring content because it gets you a shiny hat at the end.
I mean, we laugh about this constantly, but it's a real thing where I've seen a Marvel tournament where it was, you know, do or die, survive, fight.
Yeah.
Round starts, first touch, hit, pause, doot, character select screen. Okay, 1-0 next, you know, like, and it was just the person who took the hit spiritually did not have it in themselves to go through the motions. They're like, nah, it's over. You know. So anyways, let's call the TOKON discussion there.